Welcome to You Can Call Me Goddess, because you're so much more than a queen. My name is Manouk. I am a trained intuitive energy healer specialized in transforming your body and your life. In this podcast, we are going to be diving into everything to unlock the goddess that you are within you. Think of it as the ultimate glow up from the inside out. It's time to unlock your power. It's time to unlock your magic. So sit back and enjoy the show. Hello, guys, and welcome back to another You Can Call Me Goddess podcast. And today I want to help you reconnect with your power, because here's the thing. I know that you are incredibly powerful. I know that you are incredibly capable. I know that you are ready to step into what is meant for you and reconnect with what you can create. Even though maybe you can't see it right now, I can see that within you. And if you're attracted to this podcast, then you 1000% are meant for so much more. And you are meant to make such a life change in other people's lives. And today, I hope to help you a little bit more with that by reconnecting with your own power. You chose to listen to me and to this podcast because your soul knew that this type of explanation and the way that I'm going to explain it to you is going to resonate with you and it's going to click with you. Even if it doesn't, maybe it will resonate with you at a later stage, or you will be able to use these explanations in a way that it will resonate with a client of yours or someone else that needs to hear it from this perspective. So what we're going to be talking about today is actually what I said in the beginning. We are going to talk about reconnecting with your power, because in this day and age, well, actually probably it's been forever, that we tend to give away our power. And that is also because we have been told that we are not powerful. We constantly get information from the outside world that we are not powerful, not strong enough, not capable of doing certain things, that we need to rely on outside situations, circumstances, the powers at the top, people around us for things to change. But that's so not true. And I'm going to talk to you about that today. And actually, I want to go back to when I first, before I dove into this work, before I dove into intuition and learning about the laws of the universe. I don't know about you, but I would literally always, when I was in a sticky situation, and this would often be with like guys, right? I would like be attracted to a guy or have a crush on a guy, and then maybe we would go on a date or we would start chatting. And I don't know if you guys recognize this, but I would then always either start looking up if we were compatible through like our zodiac signs, and I would become like, not in the beginning. So when I would feel that there was a click, I would at first trust that feeling, but then my limiting beliefs would kick in and I would start worrying. And then obviously my gut feeling would happen, and this guy would start to ghost me or something would go wrong. And in my gut, I knew that person was pulling back. And I would like want to like figure out what was going on. So looking for answers literally everywhere outside of myself, I was looking for answers, like desperately like looking on astrology sites. Like if like an astrology could tell me what is going on, like if I'm meant to be with this person, look up, I know it's so embarrassing, but literally, I don't know if you resonate with it. I know I'm not the only one that did this. And I would look up zodiac signs and then see if we were compatible. Like there was this app called, what was it called? I already forgot because I don't use it anymore. The Pattern. The Pattern would tell you if you were like a match or not. And then I would go down this rabbit hole and try to figure out if, if he's ghosting me because he's actually super interested in me, or he's scared of me, or, or we're maybe not a match, or like, but I would always try to convince myself that no, that's not, maybe that's like, if it was something in the negative light, I would try to convince myself that it was not the truth, right? Or that maybe we're the exception. So funny. I would do this like a lot because, the thing is, I was so, how do I say, like, insecure about my capabilities. We all know that feeling in the beginning when you're first flirting with someone. You're flirting with that person, you feel the chemistry, everything is going super good and it's super interested, and you know that the person is interested in you. And then what starts to happen is the person starts detaching, and you can feel it happening. You can feel that person take a step back, starting to ghost you, starting to do all of this stuff. And I would then panic because I knew that this was happening. I could feel it. I could feel the distance growing. And then I would try my hardest to try and hold on to this person. But obviously, if you don't know already, we've got this thing called the law of opposing forces. The law of opposing forces is basically the more you want something, the more you push it away. So we've all been there. I'm pretty sure we've all been there, where you really want something, and the more you want it, the more you push it away. I've been on the other end of that, and it's so eye-opening, having been the person that was always like being ghosted or, neglected, and like suddenly the guy would drop off, and it would be super confusing because I could feel in my core that they were interested, and then they would disappear, and I'd be like, what the hell? Like, am I actually going insane? I wasn't going insane. They were just responding to my creative field, is what you might already understand. So basically, I was having these limiting beliefs about myself, and they were picking up on those limiting beliefs. Plus, I needed to learn a lesson from these situations, that I needed to start loving myself first before that the partner that I needed to call in, or that was meant for me, or that would stay with me, would start loving me and seeing me for who I was. And that is something that we have not been taught. It's so funny because I don't know about you, I'm totally into like some of the reality TV shows right now. I actually was thinking of making a whole separate podcast episode on what I've perceived in there, but this actually ties in really nicely right now. When I look and pay attention to this, I watched Love is Blind. That was great. And I'm watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Love it. Love watching this, especially when you start having an understanding of the laws of the universe and how reflections work. Because when you hack this, because I can look at everybody in those shows and I can see how the thing that is holding them back from getting the thing that they desire, whether that be the relationship, the success, the self-confidence, it all boils down to self-image issues. It all boils down to how they are treating themselves. And this is why this is so important, because when you start cracking the code and connecting back with your power, which I'm going to get into in just a little bit, so stick with me, because with this, what my life changed so much after applying these tools in my life. Literally, I feel like it was like a 180 flip of a change. It put me in the power position, like not in a negative way, but in a way of I have creator power over my life, and I wasn't the victim of these things happening to me. So that's with these reality, like pay attention. When you watch these people on reality TV and they're talking about the things that they are struggling with, and you can identify with the things that they're struggling with, because we're all struggling with similar things, just in a different flavor, in a different form, in a different format. But it all comes down to insecurity, self-image issues, and self-love issues. That is why that is such a key component of creating the thing that you desire in your life. When you heal that, when you shift that, everything starts to change. That is where the power lies. But that, I want to dive into more of another component of this today. I want to dive more into you connecting with your power. Part of that obviously is self-image and all of that stuff. But I'm going to show you the shift that I realized, even because this is what I was doing when it came to relationships and partners. Until I finally got into a relationship that I have now been in for multiple years, which brings its own challenges, because, my higher self really wants to up level. So, the more you are up leveling, the bigger the obstacles. So every time you have a bigger obstacle, that means you're meant for more, girl. So just be excited about it. It means you're meant for more. You are going to reach the top. So your higher self knows that you're ready for these obstacles. So when you can flip that perspective, again, puts the power back into your hands, especially with everything that is going on in the world, with probably family stuff, with all this craziness in the world. we start feeling unstable. We start feeling unsafe, like we can't control everything. But that couldn't be further from the truth. And that's what I want you to start connecting with today. And I know you can. So see how you can start applying these things in your life today. If you want to, give it a go and see how this shifts. But basically, so this is what I was doing. So before I started implementing this stuff, these were things that I would do, like panic Google, like especially when I felt insecure and I felt someone becoming distant. And the thing is, I connected my value to if this guy liked me or not, or if this guy stuck around or not, like my beauty, because I was very focused on my beauty, on my looks, that mainly. So that was the biggest thing always. It was always to do with my external looks and, maybe being too much or saying something weird or something along those lines, right? So these are things, I don't worry about that too much now. I have my moments, but not as much now anymore. So basically, this is what I would do. And I could feel it happening, and then they would distance themselves, and then I would start doing panicky things to try and hold on to this situation or to get that validation, because it actually never, if you think about it, never had to do with the guy. It always had to do with me feeling wanted and desired and loved, right? And that being a confirmation. So what I was doing is I was giving these guys this power over me. And even in friendships, the similar thing. I would always have these friends that I found really beautiful, and then I would put myself below them. So I would put myself below them, and I would put them on a pedestal. So they would have this power over me. They're not with all friends, but there were a few where I had that, where I put the power in their hands. So instead of taking my own power, I gave these people the power to basically, I'm trying to think of the word, sorry, to basically be the ones who decided my value. When in fact, they were just playing out a role that I was also giving them. So, and that has to do with the creator field stuff, but that's a topic for another day. And if you already know how that works, then great, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, I was just telling them, I was just giving them that role. Again, I want you to identify with this because you have the power. You basically orchestrate the situations around you. But what we tend to do is we tend to give our power away. And here's another funny thing that I used to do. And this all changed when I started developing my intuition and started understanding the laws of the universe. So basically what I would do, I don't know about you, but because I have this that I'm still working through the lack mindset, the scarcity mindset, which I feel like we all are, because it's such an ingrained thing in society. We're always being told that we're running out or there isn't enough. And, you know, there's so much pressure from all sides. Like there aren't enough good partners out there. There isn't enough money. There isn't enough opportunity. You're not special enough. Like it's literally all lack and all of this stuff. So this scarcity mindset was also something that I had to work through all the time and still am, like still working through the last bits of it. But basically what I would do, again, looking for answers outside of myself, I would never take control and hold the power within myself because I was so worried that I would do something wrong or that would impact my value or that something bad would happen. And this ties in again also with why my OCD would be a thing. But basically, I remember like every time I wanted to buy something that was expensive, I would like get nervous and I would overthink it. I would overthink even like investing in like my training, my trainings and my courses that I've done in the past, which now I don't do anymore because I have intuition, which is literally the life hack, like literally love. But anyways, I would call my mom. So I remember getting a winter coat and I saw this winter coat that I really liked. And it was like $450, $350, something along those lines. And this was also when I first started dating my boyfriend, and he was not like that at all. So he was like, what is this chick doing? Like, what the fuck? And basically what I would do is like, I would be like, I just need to check with my mom. So I would call my mom and I would be like, so, I needed the confirmation from her that it was okay to buy something that expensive. I already knew that I wanted it and I could afford it, like I could buy it. But because of this nervousness around investing in something that to me was like a lot of money, I would worry about making that investment. So I needed some outside confirmation that it was the right thing to do, that I should do something like that. Instead of connecting with my inner power, my inner trust, and my inner knowing that if I invest in that and that makes me more radiant and feel more confident, then that's going to broadcast out. In the end, my boyfriend bought it for me. So but funny thing, right? I was like, I did this with everything because I always knew. And that's the funny thing. I knew my mom would say that I should get it. So it's like, I just wanted the confirmation from the outside world that it was okay to treat myself. Insane. When I think about it, absolutely insane. It's like I needed someone else to tell me that it's okay to treat myself, to spend money on myself. So if you're already a little bit aware of self-image and self-love, you can already identify, which I know because you probably already are picking up on these things. And even if you're identifying with these things in your life, you can already see where is the self-love lacking, where is the self-image lacking, right? So I was not feeling secure in the fact that I could create that money back. I did not feel deserving of something nice until someone told me that I was. Same thing with the relationships, also popping up there with the guys. I was convinced that they would already leave me, so I would kind of already get ready for that happening because I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel beautiful enough. I was waiting for that confirmation to happen, that they would find someone more better. And it was the same with friendships. I would put myself below the other person because I looked up to them. They had things that I did not. Today, we are going to swap that. If you are finding yourself in these situations, you're feeling like you're needing outside confirmation, you're nervous about making investments, you're asking other people's confirmation for these things, you're in situations where you are dating and you are constantly not sure if the person likes you or not, or you're like they ghost you and you don't know why. Today, what we're going to cover and what I'm going to explain to you should totally change your perspective on that. And if it didn't, let me know. I can help you by getting it to land in a better way. So please, I'm always here. If you have questions, you can always reach out. You can find all my information in the show notes. So yes. Anyways, basically, what I want you to do, because this is something that I have found over the years that has changed my life, is what I want you to do, what I want you to try and do and see if it works, if it feels comfortable for you, if you feel called to try and do this. I want you to start reconnecting with your power. So I know in previous episodes, we have spoken about also taking radical responsibility. That can be very difficult sometimes. So what I want you to start doing is actually start just reconnecting with your power. Remember that the things that are happening around you are fully in your control. So you have full creator power. And one of the things that has transformed my life has been training my intuition. Listen, when I first heard about intuition and training my intuition, I had no freaking clue what that meant. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't know what that means, right? But my higher self was like, you need to figure this out because this is something that you need to be doing. So she made sure that I went down that path of figuring out what that meant, because I was always looking at astrology, and I know I've spoken about this before, human design, because I was constantly looking for answers outside of myself. That's the thing. If you're constantly looking for answers outside of yourself, if you're constantly blaming outside factors of not being where you want to be, this is for you. If you're looking for answers outside of yourself, or you're blaming outside situations for where you are right now, this is for you. Even if you're not, this is still for you, because this is going to change your life when you start realizing this. The fact that you are so freaking powerful. I mean, it's even recently been found. I mean, I need to find the actual article, how powerful we are, and that we actually do have intuitive gifts, and that we actually are able to read certain energies and predict certain outcomes by connecting with our intuition. This is no longer just a woo-woo thing. This is something that we are actually capable of, and it has been found in research and things like that our mind is extremely powerful. However, and even you probably know and have heard that our brain, we're only using about like 7% of our brain's capability. So can you imagine if we can tap into that? So what I want you to start doing or what I want you to try and start doing and start seeing, hopefully, is that is seeing that you are so much more powerful than you think that you are. Because when we constantly give outside situations and circumstances, like I was doing, power over us, you're basically giving the guy the power. You're basically I was giving my mom the power. I was basically giving my friend the power to execute, like, control over my decisions, how I felt, who I was, and my value and my worthiness. When in reality, and again, I know you guys will understand this on a deeper level, but in reality, you are creating those situations. So that's a whole nother level, but that is what is going on. So even though you think the external world is putting that on you and has that power over you, you are creating them having power over you. So I want you to connect with that. Well, I want you to try and connect with that, because that means that the situations that you're in, you are creating, even that powerless feeling. So why not turn that around? Why not connect with your power? So what has changed for me is basically I started connecting with my intuition. Before, like I said, I didn't understand what that meant, because we all know the word intuition, having an intuitive hit, eating intuitively, like we know the gut feeling, we understand that. But it wasn't until I realized that I could train my intuition, basically connect with different energies and get answers from within by connecting with energies. So now, whenever I want to invest in something, instead of calling up my mom, I connect with my intuition and I ask if investing in something like a samurai sword, which I have invested in, and I will one day tell you guys the story of that. But like a samurai sword is going to enhance or increase my physical cash flow, so my abundance. And I don't have to ask my mom for that confirmation anymore. I now check in with my intuition, so I hold all the power. So I connect with my intuition, ask the question if it is going to increase my physical cash flow, and then when I get a yes, I invest in the product, because that's what we want. It's going to increase my radiance. It's going to have an effect on my radiance. Like, you know, when you want to buy a new car, but you're on the fence about it, and when you do, you feel rich, you feel more abundant. And that actually makes you more of a magnet to more money. Well, in my situation, that was my samurai sword, which was a whole thing that I'm going to tell about one day, because it was this thing where I was like, my human self was like, I don't need that. And my higher self was like, you need that, you want that, and so go buy it. And it was a whole thing because it blocked certain financial income because I wasn't investing in a samurai sword. I know, crazy. Whole nother story that I would love to get into, but I'll save it for another day. But yeah, so this is how this works. So the same thing, it was so funny. I actually realized this. I was like laying in bed, or I remember at night thinking about, like, because there was a guy that I was like, oh, he's kind of cute. You know, kind of was like, oh, that's so funny. I can now literally, okay, don't tell anybody about this, but you can do this or do, I don't know. But I could literally check in with his energetic field. I know it feels so wrong, and see if the guy is interested in me or not. I literally hold the power. And at the same time, this is the even crazier part. When you start honing in on your creator field, you know, those, like, you know, the Axe commercials where, like, you know, the Axe deodorant for men, it's like you spray this deodorant on and suddenly all the women swarm to you. Like, you can do that with your creator field, but then I guess men, women, whatever works for you, I guess. Clients, abundance, that is what you can do. You can literally, or like Sims where they create those potions to make that person fall in love with you, you can literally do that with your creator field. So when you start honing in on the tools, on the laws of the universe, and you start realizing through reflections, through intuition, through having a deeper understanding of spiritual tools and how your energetic body works, you can start shifting your energetic field and basically manipulating in a good way, use it for good, in a good way, how people react and respond to you. And that is literally what changed it all for me, because I now can check intuitively how a person is actually feeling about a situation. I now can check intuitively if what I'm perceiving in a situation is the truth or if I'm emotionally making something up, right? Because that's what we tended to do. Like even when I spoke about in the previous podcast about, emotions and how we manipulate things through our emotions. So we actually create things through our emotions, as well as we kind of get blinded by emotions because our emotions basically influence our intuition by 95%. So then if you think that something is happening in your relationship, like maybe you have this feeling based on limiting beliefs from your past that your partner is going to cheat on you, or he is going to leave you, or he's not interested in you anymore, or in my case, that was something to do with desire, I was emotionally manipulating that situation. It wasn't a gut feeling. It was more me creating that situation because of my emotions. So now when you have a deeper understanding of intuition and you can connect with your intuition, you can intuitively tap in and check if that is actually the case, if there is a way to switch it around, if you're creating it with your creator field, how true it is. There's so many avenues you can go with this. And that is the wild part, because that puts you back into the driver's seat. That gives you the safety, that gives you the security, that gives you the inner knowing that you can shift any situation. Even in certain situations, because I know sometimes when it comes to what we're capable of and feeling strong, whether that be in creating things that you desire, but also even, for example, feeling safe walking down the street, connecting back with your power makes you safe. So your creator field basically dictates and shapes how people respond to you. So if you're feeling unsafe walking down the street in the dark, for example, but you have honed into your creator field, I'm a badass and you better not mess with me, then that person who would maybe come up to you and pickpocket you, or I don't know, something could happen to you, would avoid you because you have that in your creator field. And so this is how powerful it becomes when you start connecting with your own power. When you start honing in on what you have written, that's where your intuition comes into play. Well, actually these two things. So today, let's focus on intuition and reflective components of certain situations. When you have your intuition, you can tap into that and see what your creator field is broadcasting out and why people are responding to you in a certain way, but also having a deeper understanding of reflections and how people are reflecting to you what is written in your creator field will already help you hack that. Because the way that they are responding to you has to do with how you're viewing yourself and how you're feeling about yourself. So in that relationship or in those partnerships or those guys that I was seeing, they were literally just bouncing off of what my energetic field was saying. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not desirable, right? So they were responding to that. So simply by seeing and connecting with how you're creating that puts you back in the driver's seat, and it gives you full control over the situation and connects you with your power. And if you do anything today, try it. Try looking at these situations and can put yourself back in the driver's seat. Give yourself back that power. Look at the situations that you are giving power away. Why are you giving power away in these situations? Why are you giving other people, the other situations, the power over what is happening to you? And that's the opposite. It works the other way around. The only reason things in your life are not working out the way that you want them to work out is because you're not connecting with your power. You're not connecting with what you're capable of. And part of the things that can get you to connect back with that is first of all seeing how you're creating situations and circumstances around you, but gaining certain skill sets. Gaining certain skill sets, whether that is having a deeper understanding of reflections or whether that is connecting with your intuition. Because these things have shifted everything. Even with, for example, arguments that I used to have with my partner, they would be bad so long. I mean, they can still be when I'm out of balance and I can't figure it out. But they used to be, and I would feel so lost and not know what to do in those situations and why it was happening. The moment I started realizing it was all reflective and it gave me control, I realized, oh my goodness, I'm creating all of this. So it took the edge off certain arguments. It took the edge off certain things that felt like pressure, because it made me feel like I have the tools. I need to find the tools, or I have the tools, or my higher self is going to guide me to gain the tools to be able to shift through this. This is happening for me. This is happening for me to connect more with my power. So in those situations, ever since I figured that out, the arguments started going down. Why? Because I started realizing that I was creating them. I wasn't putting the blame on him anymore because it wasn't his fault. He was just responding to my script, to my creator field. And it's wild how quick this stuff works. But it does take a deep understanding of what's going on. And you do need to take that control. You need to connect with your power. You need to be willing to to step into your power. But if there is anything that will help you change the reality that you are in right now, is being the main character in your life and realizing that these extra characters in your life don't have control over you. You have control over them. And not in a bad way, but the way that they respond to you. That is also how you're going to change lives, right? Is by showing people that they can create the things that they desire on their own. Connect them back with their power. Connect them with the things that they can do. And having that impact. So that is literally, it was a night and day difference when I started realizing that. And I know I can hear you guys thinking, but why do I have to take all the responsibility all the time? Well, it's nothing to do. The thing is, we need to look at that from a different, or try and look at that from a different perspective. Because if you feel like it's a burden, then you're not feeling the potency of the power that holds and how actually empowering that is. I can understand it can feel like a lot when you're in control of everything. Like, why would I do these things to myself? Why would I create these things? But why would I have a guy ghost me? That is the trick. Look at why you would. Actually ask yourself, why would I create that? What am I gaining from that experience? Because if you've heard me say it before, it's the obstacles that allow you to grow. So this is something that really, and it's something that you have to keep like honing in on. It's not like now I have situations where sometimes, yes, I get into a situation and I'm emotional about it. And I'm like you want to naturally put the blame on someone else, but that actually gives away power. It doesn't keep the power within you. It's more empowering to realize that you're creating that reality. It's more empowering to realize that you have the power to shift everything. It's because we don't want to deal with something, and so then we try to push it off and we put it on someone else, when in reality, you are creating this. And the sooner you can start seeing that and give that a go, the sooner you get to control or create the life that you desire, because you're all capable of it. It's just missing certain components to get you to fully hone in on that. And today I'm giving you one of those puzzle pieces, is by realizing that you have the power to shift these things. You have the power to change these things and to shift through these things and to create what you desire by realizing that we need to stop giving outside situations the power over us. You have full control over your situation. You just need to figure out how to shift your perspective on these things and how to reprogram the limiting beliefs and the bad programming that you've been holding on to. And connecting with your intuition does really help with things like that. And just give it a go if you can try to do this. I actually have a free series inside my free membership where you can start connecting with your intuition, but try and play around with it. If you can just get still and basically just try to sit still, take a couple of slow breaths and center yourself. And then whenever you're feeling stuck on something, try and ask, should I do this? And just play around with it, because we don't want to play around with too big of questions until you develop your intuition on a higher level. Because when you really start using it in a precise way, in a precise tool, that is when things really start to shift. But you can already start honing in on it and playing around with little questions like, should I go to the gym today? And then opening your eyes, and you can play around with what color you see. And then you can intuitively feel if that color means a yes or a no to you. So green would be a yes for me, and red could be a no for me, right? Pink could be a yes for me. Brown could be a no for me, right? So thinking of like playing around with that, even feeling in the body. Are you feeling a yes or are you feeling a no? Like, is it a restrictive or an expansive feeling? And just starting to play around with that. And then inside the free series, I have a whole little series on intuition, and you can dive into that and start honing in on those tools and expanding on that. But basically, when you start doing this, you connect with your power, you connect with your capabilities, and you can start seeing how giving other people the power over the decisions that you make gives away your power. And to reconnect with your power is to reconnect with your capabilities and your inner knowing, and also reconnect with what you're capable of. I've had this question come up with the latest world events, and it's so funny because we all can feel this way. Sometimes we feel hopeless, right? Like, what the hell am I supposed to do about that? And although there's a time and a place for being hopeless, which is something that we'll dive into because we don't want to get too excited about things before we've created them. But that's a topic. Again, a topic for another day. But it gives this deflated feeling of there's so much going on, but who am I to change this? What can I do? And this is how society's been created, is to make you feel like one in a million. Not in a positive way, but in a negative way. 1 in a billion. How many people are on the planet? So many. But what you can do instead, actually see that it starts with you. So all the changes. So with the powerless feeling, I want you to reconnect with your power by actually seeing that it has a domino effect. When you connect with your power, you realize your potential. You realize what you're capable of. You realize that you have these incredible gifts, and you can shift your life and create your life. You can start sharing that with your kids, with your friends, with people who encounter you and basically just are in your energy, and maybe get even uplifted by the small piece of information you told them that day. I've heard that before with my friends, that one friend said something to someone else and that stuck with them for the rest of their life. That was the one thing that they needed to hear to shift. We don't realize that the smallest situations, the smallest circumstances can bring about the biggest life change in other people's lives. And that's where it starts. Because if we all feel hopeless, if we all feel powerless, then nothing is ever going to change. So instead of, and this goes for any goal that you have, instead of looking at the grand picture of what you want to achieve, like if you want to achieve change in the world, it's going to be hard if you're looking at how you're going to tackle everybody in the world and get a message to everybody in the world. But if you can look at it from a point of, if it starts with me and I can connect with my power and I can realize what I'm capable of, and that changes one person's life because they see how I've changed, so they want to learn from me how they can do it for themselves. You've just changed another person's life. And that person can then go on to change another person's life. Do you see how connecting with your power, connecting with what you're capable of, turning off the noise that you are hearing in the outside and connecting with who you are and what you can do actually contributes to changing that's the one thing that you can do to contribute to changing the world, is focus on yourself, is focus on your own growth, is focus on that dream, that desire, because the desire that you have, the thing that you want to create, it didn't come from nothing. It is something that your soul wants you to achieve, and it's getting you to follow that soul path, soul pull, so that you can get on that path. It's not out of nowhere that you're going to do or want to do these things, or that you're pulled towards this podcast, or you're pulled towards learning about these subjects. It's because you're meant for more. It's because I know that you're capable of it. You know that you're capable of it. You just need to reconnect with that. And I wanted to share this because I was thinking about the change and how much it's impacted and shifted my reality, simply reconnecting with my own power. Not giving other people power over me, not giving other situations power over me, but seeing how I have power over all of these situations. I am creating these things. And we often feel like this isn't that arrogant, isn't that selfish? It's not. It's selfish to not take back control of your life and your creator power, because then basically you're just sitting in your own self-pity, or that's kind of what's coming to mind, or you're sitting in your own, it's never going to work out for me, which is actually stopping you from being able to change other people's lives in a positive way. That is why it's so powerful to see what you can create, what you can shift, and reconnecting back with your power. Imagine if everybody in the world was capable of doing that. We would be living on a totally different planet right now. And it starts with you. That's not to overwhelm you. That's just to make you realize that when you focus on prioritizing yourself, when you focus on tapping into your own capabilities, your own power, connecting with your gifts, day by day, diving deeper into this content. If you feel pulled and you want to learn more about this content, do that for yourself. Your soul is clearly letting you know that this is something that you're meant to be expanding on, because you are a high frequency being and you are meant for more. And with these understandings and these tools, you are going to tap into that. So that was my broadcast message for you today. If you try anything this week, try to connect with your power. Try to realize how asking yourself, start to identify where you're giving your power away, like I said earlier, and ask yourself why. Is it because is it a self-image thing that you want to have someone else verify something about yourself, like your value or your worth? Is it because you're too scared to take responsibility of something? Is it because it feels more comfortable to give the power away than connect with your own power? And then I want you to ask yourself, how can I put myself and give myself the power in this situation in a expansive, empowering way. So how is this situation beneficial to me right now? How would I have created this situation? How can I take control of this situation and shift it into something that is meant for me, that is going to move the needle forward? Start by tapping in and using that inner knowing, that intuition that you have. And if you want to dive deeper into these concepts and you want to have a deeper understanding of how all of this works, I have lots of free content inside my free membership that allows you to dive into this, that allows you to expand your understanding and your knowing of these things so that you can connect more with what you're capable of. You can have a deeper understanding of how your creator field works and how you can connect with your intuition, and how all of this is like a big puzzle that when you put the puzzle pieces together, you basically have the handbook to shifting your life into the thing that you desire. Even if it just starts with getting a deeper understanding of if the guy likes you or not, of if you should invest in something because it will increase your physical cash flow instead of if it is going to decrease your physical cash flow. And taking the reins in that situation and realizing how you can shift these things. Because when you do, it's super cool and it will change your life when you do. It has for me, at least. So, and I know many more. So give it a go. If you're feeling lost or you don't know what I'm talking about or where to begin, please feel free to reach out. I'm here for you. I want to guide you to be able to tap into your potentials, to connect with your power, because if you're listening to the You Can Call Me Goddess podcast, you know you have that goddess within you, and I know that you do. And a goddess is powerful. She's intuitive. She is, like I said, more than a queen. So, and you are that. So the moment you start realizing that, the moment you start connecting with that, is the moment that you can start creating that empire that is meant for you. So if there's anything that you take away from this today, it is that you are capable of creating everything that you desire, but it starts with not giving your power away and connecting back with your power. All right, I truly appreciate you, and I thank you for listening and taking the time and listening to these podcasts, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to You Can Call Me Goddess. I am so happy that you joined us in this show today. If you feel like this podcast gave you any sort of life change or value, then share it with someone you think would also get a lot of value out of it, because maybe it could just be that one thing that changes that person's life. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a nice rating below or in the show, because we would love to expand more on topics that you enjoy and keep this podcast up and running. Anyways, thank you, beautiful, and I hope to see you in the next podcast.